Behind me is Chirk Castle, and Bradshaw writes, "This noble-looking edifice has been preserved from ruin and may be regarded as a perfect model of the time-honoured castles of the ancient lords of the soil." Although the castle is perched a few miles distant, strangely, its gates have ended up here.
Are these gates ever open, or?
No, I don't think they are. These gates were moved because they used to be on the north front of the house. These are early 18th century gates. Very beautiful, aren't they, in white wrought iron?
They are beautiful.
And the story is that they were moved here in 1888 because Queen Victoria used to pass on a train on her way somewhere, and they wanted Queen Victoria to be able to see these beautiful gates from the train.
Wow.
Good story, isn't it?
That is a good story. Is it true?
I don't know. Tomorrow, I'm hoping to enter the castle, but for tonight, I've been relegated to the gamekeeper's cottage. Oh dear, rather wet morning in the Welsh valleys, but then they didn't get this green without a bit of rain. Bradshaw mentions that the castle is the seat of R. Middleton Biddulph, Esquire, and the Middletons are still there, and I'm off to see them this morning. Chirk Castle was built in the 13th century by the Marcher Lords, some of the king's most trusted men, whose task was to guard England's border with Wales. According to Bradshaw, it's a remarkably interesting and ancient mansion, and a magnet for visitors. That's if I can get past the guards. Hello, gentlemen. Are you happy in your work?
Damp, but very happy.
Yes, it is a little bit damp today. Are you wearing real chainmail, real helmet?
Yes, sir. Would you care to feel the weight of this?
Oh, it is very heavy.
And you get the full impression, sir. Would you care to?
Oh, goodness, Hugh, do you wear this all day?
Yes, sir.
You must have very developed neck muscles, I think, by now.
I didn't before I started this job.
That is very heavy. You wear that all day, and then you wear that. Well, this weighs even more than the hat. Well, it's weighty work you're doing, and thank you very much for it.
A pleasure.
I take my helmet off to you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Not everyone could see the benefits of the railways as they spread across Britain in the 19th century. Some landowners, like the Middletons, were positively hostile. Guy.
Hello, Michael.
What a fantastic place. Guy Middleton and his family have lived at Chirk Castle for 14 generations. I came here on the train, and I was quite surprised. There's a station called Chirk. You've got your own station. How did that come about?
Well, we're lucky, aren't we, to have our own station, and this is really because my ancestor at the time of the railway was particularly disenchanted with the idea of a railway being built across his land. He was involved in the canal that runs adjacent to the railway, and I think he saw the railway as a great threat to that enterprise. So he tried very hard to disrupt the surveyors. Once he'd realised that he couldn't stop it any further, he then, I think, negotiated the best settlement he could, and part of that was, of course, to ensure that Chirk had its own station. And, of course, they had their own mines here, coal mine particularly, and, of course, the railway would have been a great facilitator of being able to move that particular product about.
The railway line also brought tourists to Chirk. My Bradshaw's guide details for each station the country houses and their owners close by. And just like today, visiting them was a popular pastime, although the procedure was a little different then.
In Bradshaw's time, in the Victorian era, I'm sure visitors would have come to the castle on the train as well, but those visitors would not have necessarily been the general public. They'd have been by appointment. They'd have made an appointment with the housekeeper of the day, and they would have then come on the train, come to the castle, been received by the housekeeper, shown just the main rooms of interest, seen the castle in all its glory, and probably been given a memento on the day, a small pamphlet, just outlining those things that they'd seen on that day.
Having free rein in a house as vast as this one is every child's dream. I can't imagine growing up in a castle.
Well, it's wonderful, and I'm very lucky, I know that. When I learnt to ride a bicycle, for example, I was able to do it inside the house. in the long gallery.
I hope you got a thick ear for that, did you?
Well, I didn't actually. I was encouraged by my grandparents.
You weren't busy mowing down the Chippendales?
No, we weren't. They were well protected, roped off, so no damage done. Or perhaps a little bit of country house condition, I think that's what we call it.
When I was about 5 or 6 years old, I remember coming on an overnight train to Scotland with my mother to visit her parents, and the train stopped in the middle of the night at York. And in those days, York was written around these pillars. And sitting in the compartment, my mother caught me trying to peer around the side of the pillar. The reason was I'd never heard of York. I'd only heard of New York. I was looking for the word new. My mother thought I was impossibly stupid to think that New York lay between King's Cross and Edinburgh. Today, we think nothing of taking the train. But in Bradshaw's era, the advent of railway travel raised tricky social and even moral issues. Trains were both exciting and risky. The new technology aroused fears about safety, but the railways also brought new opportunities, especially for women. While I wait for my connection, historian Di Drummond is going to tell me more. So at the time of the early railways, how did women react to the possibility of travelling by train, and how did the railways react to the women?
There's a lot of evidence to say women really took to it, particularly the middle-class women. Railway companies sometimes were not so confident about women travelling, particularly travelling alone. Husbands and fathers were not so keen either. Duke of Wellington told his son off very soundly for allowing his wife to travel alone on a train, which was awful.
In the early 19th century, women travellers were usually chaperoned. But soon, some women began using the trains unaccompanied, raising fears about their safety.
One of the early railway guides actually says that there's no worse a place where a woman could be insulted, as they put it, than in a railway carriage. And it's a problem because obviously in those days it was a closed carriage. You opened the door, you got in, you couldn't move along the corridor to get out of the way. So if you got on board with somebody who was threatening, you couldn't get out of the way. And there were no communication cords until 1864.
So in those days, the carriages were divided into thin compartments. There was no corridor either along the side or down the middle. So once you're in the compartment, that was it.
That's it, until you get to the next station. For women, obviously, it was the fear of being attacked on the train, to be molested, even possibly raped or murdered. And I've not heard about it in this country, but in 19th century Austria and also in France, women reputedly used to hide pins in their lips. So if a man actually stole a kiss from them as they went through a railway tunnel in the dark, obviously their lips were lacerated. Pretty nasty.
Femme fatale, or nearly fatale anyway. But for most women, train travel was a revelation. I can see that for women, new opportunities to travel, this is by definition liberating, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's mostly the middle class women to start off with. Working class women, obviously it takes more time. But by the time you get to the 1860s, you've got features like special trains being chartered from Edinburgh to take the herring girls down the coast right through to Yarmouth by the end of the season as they follow the shoals of herring.
Of course, the most famous Victorian lady, Queen Victoria, travelled by train.
Yes, indeed. And that made train travel very popular because if it was good enough for the royals, it was good enough for those who could afford it.
Trains were equalisers that shook social conventions. With that in mind, I take the opportunity of my journey west to Harrogate to talk to some 21st century women travellers. As a woman, do you sometimes travel alone on the railways?
I have done, yes.
No instances of strange men coming and talking to you?
Not before today, no.
Really? It's the first time that's happened, is it?
It is.
So you're away for a few days?
Yes, yeah, I'm away for 2 nights. I've left my husband with my 2 boys, and he's in charge for the next 2 days. And,
so there we are, the railway is very liberating for you, isn't it?
Very liberating for me, yes. It gives me a chance to get away, and also a chance for my husband to experience what it's like to have 2 boys all the time.